Hey guys, good morning. And today we're talking about the greatest certainty is the ability to hold on to plan A and not be distracted by a plan B. Now, we know that in leadership, the person who leads is the one who can implement plan B the fastest. So the question you've got to ask yourself now is, am I confusing you? Is this a double standard to say, burn the boats, plan A, and stick to it? Or is it real leadership to know that you could implement plan B faster than anybody else and therefore have greater certainty? I hope this sketchpad video really helps you understand the differences, because as far as I'm concerned, it's the single most important thing in a life of the business executive to have a plan A, to have a plan B, but not let plan B disturb plan A. Complex? Not really. See how it goes. Bye for now. G'day folks, this is Chris and we're up to another one of our sketchpad audios, and today it's plan ahead, and I love the graphic that this begins with. And thank you to the suggestion from one of the observers of this video to try just a plain white screen instead of the checkered yellow screen to make it less busy. Let's see how we go. We'll give it a try today and see what you feel. Plan ahead. So the person with the greatest certainty about the future leads. So if we're talking about follow and we're talking about leadership, the person with the greatest certainty about this topic here, about where is the future, leads. Now, what is certainty? We need to ask this question because certainty can be often confused with hard-headed or stoic, which I find it all very confusing myself, because when we talk about certainty, it's a very spiritual word, and a lot of people are really nervous about using the concept of spirituality in reality. But certainty comes when you know that you know that you know that you know. And there is no, it doesn't come with a resistance. It doesn't come with a resistance to information. So if you have certainty, you're not afraid of new information. You just allow the new information to come through and just go right past you or right through you. So if you have resistance to information, you don't have certainty. Stoic is where you are stuck on a belief. And new information becomes, creates some sense of anxiety or resistance or defensive. So if you find yourself being resistant, defensive, or having anxiety about new information, that means that you don't have certainty. I can't give it to you any other way. Certainty is an experience. And for me, certainty in my life, certainty would have to be defined as spirituality. And the greatest certainty I apply from a business point of view is the future. What's going to happen next month? The person who can implement plan B the fastest equals the leader. Now, if you want to be a leader, if you claim to be a leader, you're going to have to think about it really deeply. Firstly, there's the philosophy of burn the boats. burn the boats, which comes from the idea that back in the Viking days, they sailed across the waters in their little boats. They rowed their way across the waters. They got to a foreign land. They're going to invade that foreign land. And what they did is they put the boats on the shore and they set fire to them. So there was no plan B. And burn the boats is a really important business strategy or a sports strategy, because if you're, for example, and a great example of this that I live nearly every day is when you're riding up a really steep hill on a bike and you're halfway up, if there's a side road that comes down, if you're not committed 100%, and so there is no option of a plan B, you won't make it. It's really, really hard. It makes it 7 times harder to get to the top of the mountain on a bike if you have the option of plan B, sleeping in, stopping for coffee, having breakfast, changing your style, doing whatever it is. If there's a plan B in your vision, in your inspiration, in your purpose, in your VIP, if there's a plan B, it's going to make it so hard to hit the top of the mountain. This is where you want to end up. And it's people who have a plan B for their VIP who don't make it. So when we say plan the future, the person who can implement plan B the fastest, we can, if we don't listen really carefully to what we mean, introduce a variable which is failure. And that is getting halfway or 3/4 of the way, as Einstein would say, or 90% of the way towards our goal, and seeing a plan B and implementing that, which is another job, another relationship, another sport, another goal, another outcome. When you know people have a plan A, you can tell, because plan A makes you smile. Plan A makes you smile. It puts a glint in your eye. It stimulates you. And what happens to us all as a result of the implementation of Plan B is we start to become less engaged. Now, we all have turning points in our life. So life goes along and we get options. We get Plan A or Plan B in our life, which maybe Plan A is to make a lot of money, and Plan B is maybe to have a family and lots of little kids. And we take a fork in a road, and it's really important to respect the fact that you took this fork because this might have been more important than this, or this might be more important than that. In other words, money might be more important than family. In other words, you care for your family by providing wealth, or you care for your family by providing emotion, and money comes second. So these choice points are irreversible. You can't really, at any point, unless you completely blow it up, go back to the choice point and head forward. Because as you go forward, Plan A and Plan B get further and further apart. You can see it from here. So if there's a choice point in your life and you go, I really just want to make a lot of money and I'll give a lot of money to my family and that's the way I'm going to love and care for them, you need to own that space and not be and be able to defend it. When your kids say you didn't be a good father or you didn't be a good parent, you go, well, I provided, or I went out on a Plan B. My Plan B was, in my life, was to change the world. And that puts a smile on my face. But my original Plan A was to make a lot of money, build a family, and have lots of kids and all that sort of stuff. And I made a choice. And that choice is a choice that I often have to go back and remind myself that I've compromised a plan to engage a second plan. And I think this piece of work is really important because the subconscious brain holds on to plan A. And then we go along and then we suddenly, through circumstances, make plan B plan A. Plan B becomes the new plan A. And then so plan A becomes the new plan B. So we often get down the track, even 1, 2 or 10 or even 20 years, is in my case it's 30 years. And we sit there and we go, geez, why don't I have $1 billion, which I was on the way to with plan A? And why do I now have 1 billion clients or 1 billion people I influence and not $1 billion? And we have to remember nothing's ever missing. It changes form. And we chose at some point the new form. So burn the boats is a really important thing. When we do make the change and make plan B the new plan A, we burn the boats with the other option. When people start talking about the person, the leader can implement plan B the fastest, it means that they do have an alternative strategy, but that alternative strategy is an emergency. It's a backup plan. And what the backup plan does, it alleviates fear. So fear of failure is only if there's no plan B. But and as I've said before, climbing a mountain, if plan B is an option for plan A, in other words, we're on the plan A path and we've got two options: give up and surrender to plan B, or move forward and stick with plan A. Then we give ourselves a forked mind. We give a split heart, it's called. And I just want to talk about that because when we're talking about planning for the future, one thing that causes people to create a plan A and plan B is the concept that plan B will be easier than plan A, which is harder. So if I'm right, once again, the metaphor, and I love this metaphor of taking people in the Himalayas, when we're going up a hill in the mountains in Nepal, and we start and we're getting, we're going to sleep usually on the other side of the hill. That's where we're going to sleep tonight because we're at a lower altitude than our highest day. When people start walking up the hill, in their mind, they have plan B, which is go back to where they started on the day and forget and give up, which means, as Einstein said, that's about 90% of the way up. The option of plan B for some people becomes more and more attractive than plan A because plan B looks easier. Now, what we need to do when we're thinking about planning the future is make sure that we never get into the idea that there is an easier plan. This is really, really the corruption of the real spirit of a human being, that there is an easier plan B. Plan B is not easier. If you say married and not married, or in a relationship or not in a relationship, or if you say in this business, but I'm going to move over to this business because it will be easier, it will be more fun, it will be more pleasure, it will be more joyful, it will be more money. As soon as you create a concept that there's a plan B that is easier, you're cooked. Not because plan B is not easier, because there is no such thing. In other words, nothing is ever missing. If we're right here, right now, this is as good as it gets. Nothing's ever missing. Nothing's ever missing. This is as good as it gets. So when we conceptualize a plan B, which is better, a plan B which is better than plan A, we're lying to ourselves. What we can say is the pain in the legs we're experiencing in plan A is going to become a pain in the ass by going down plan B. So the whole concept of burn the boats is absolutely true. Burn the boats. Create a plan, stick to it. But you can, along that plan, change the train, change from a horse and cart to a train, as long as the plan is not to reduce your pain, to make life easier, to make life simpler, to make life more organized, to make life more profitable, to make life more sexy, to make life more fun. That's plan B. If it's got all these things or any of these things written into it, there has to be a cost. And you need to make sure that you don't get deluded by the concept of infatuating something over resenting. In other words, build up your high self-esteem by coming up with a myth or a fantasy that there's going to be there's a plan B with a positive set of outcomes that don't have a negative set of outcomes that marry perfectly with the original state you were in plan A, moving to plan B. As I said, you can change jobs as long as you don't say to yourself, this will be easier, this will be simpler, this will be more organized, this will be more profitable, this will be more sexy, this will be more fun, this will be more on track, without negative consequences. Now, it's a full-time job working with people to help them realize that there's two sides to every coin, which I think is nature. So when we are talking about what are my options in life, we just have to go and sit under a tree. And we need to look at and observe a tree. What will the future bring? Well, let's let nature teach us the answer to this question. There's going to be support and challenge. There's going to be order and chaos. There's going to be pleasure and pain. There's going to be self and other, competitive. Those things are going to exist in the present plan A and the future plan B. And the only thing we can do is change the form of the other, the pain, the challenge, and the chaos. We can only change its form. And if we make a change, we say, I'm going to go and get a different job because I'm in pain in this job. I'm going to change the pain to insecurity. I'm going to change the pain to chaos. I'm going to change the pain. I'm going to change the pain, but I'm not going to reduce it. And that is the myth of life. So as we move forward in life, as life gets more dollars or more love or more wisdom, it gets also more challenges, more confrontation, more disasters, more prone to disasters, more vulnerable to humbling circumstances. So as one aspect of life grows beautifully, as we grow in one side, we also grow in the other side. So in leadership, which is this line here, order and chaos, we evolve at the border of order and chaos. What we're recognizing is the bigger we get in life, the more kids or the more older our kids or the longer we get, the more maturity, the more we care about the world, the more of this we have to deal with. And that's the purpose of a coach. To help you evolve through the challenges that marry hand in hand with growth. And if you can do that, you will remain what's called on purpose or on track. This is on purpose is no other word than your self-worth growing. This is Chris. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.